From JA to UK to LA and everywhere else now, this is a podcast strictly influenced by Jamaican music, brought to you by Eric Kohler and Junor Francis. Well, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting home alone, the Junior entertain you on his microphone. History of LA Ska. Yeah, hear stories from a guest while we all have a blast. From LA to Jamaica, it's in the podcast. The history of LA Ska. Of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. History of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. Of LA Ska. It's the history of LA Ska. One more time, yeah. It's the history of LA Ska.
All right, well, welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm Junor Francis, alongside our producer and my good friend Eric Kohler. Now, this series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including those behind the scenes. So we want to say thanks to all our friends who are supporting us behind the scene. Therefore, whether you listen to this podcast series or you watch us on YouTube, thanks for your support. Always thank you, thank you, thank you. Just about everywhere I go, I see people who said, yeah, we see you guys on the podcast. So thanks for supporting. And please remember to subscribe and tell a friend. I cannot emphasize that enough. Subscribe and tell a friend. That's how we're going to make it. On this episode, yeah, man, we celebrate two veterans of Southern California traditional ska scene. Singers, songwriters, musicians, band leaders. Rich, how you say your last name?
Carlstedt.
Carlstedt.
There we go. Rich
And
Carlstedt.
David Hawkins of the Israelites and famed Kingston Beat production. David currently leads the Kingston Beat Allstars, which is a band that's based right here in Southern California. Additionally, Rich is also from Southern California, but as a band and does it's actually unfortunate, I think, is in Portland. But I mean,
Yeah, no, and David and Rich, you both are also longtime friends and collaborators, and we're very grateful. So thanks for joining us.
You didn't know that?
I think you are. Hold on.
Yeah, like for Rich, what, like 40, almost 40 years?
Yeah, since like 86, 87.
Wow.
Yep.
You guys were 2 years old or so then. No, thanks for joining us.
Rich.
Yeah,
I know I look young, but it's all right.
Yeah, yes, compliments.
We're not too far apart in age. But thank you for joining us tonight, Junior. Thank you for the introduction. And Rich and David, we're here to have some fun and celebrate everything that you two have brought and continue to bring to the scene and the music that we all love. So let's start by going back a little bit. When did music both come into your lives, or come into both your lives? David, why don't we start with you?
Wow. High school, I think. I tried to start. I tried to play the bass for a while in this like punk band. Remember that, Rich, with Kevin and so. And Rich actually was teaching the drummer how to play drums for us at the time.
Oh, wow.
So that's when it started. For me, and then Rich helped put the foot in it, because Rich was already playing guitar. He was already playing in bands, already doing things in a different genre. And like I said, we've known each other for like 40 years. So we actually fell in love with ska around the same time. We both we were hanging out together, and he went to a certain show. He came back and told me. We ended up going to shows, and next thing you know is what it was.
Nice. Is that your same recollection, Rich?
Mine goes back a little bit further. I come from a musical family. My dad was a professional musician, guitar teacher, guitar, voice, banjo, piano. My sister was a professional pianist and still is. So I was kind of forced into it. My dad put me on drums when I was like 7 years old, and I had one of those little snare drums with the cymbal,
Oh
and
yeah.
he would put me in a room for an hour a day. And I was actually, I know how to read drum music. I had several different. I quit playing drums because I hated lugging drums around and setting them up. It really got on my nerves. My dad showed me one chord on the guitar, and I'm pretty much self-taught on that. And then I know how to play keyboards quite a bit and bass. So yeah, mine pretty much came from my family. And Dave and I actually met. We were youth leaders at the same church. I started going to this church, and I met Dave, and that's how we started hanging out. So
And
that's my story.
yeah, wow, yeah, multi-talented.
Pretty much it.
What's that?
That's pretty much it.
Yes.
No, it's yes, sir. So, do you this question for both of you? Do you remember the first ska album you purchased and the first ska show you attended? So it's sort of a two-part.
I do. Rich, we were actually, no, I can't say we were together. He went first with somebody else, and then we went. I want to say it was a fish. What was it, Rich? That the one that we went to, I went to. Was it the Fishbone?
Defenders?
It probably was Offenders.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm horrible at remembering places where they're at. I couldn't tell you.
Most likely was. That was one of the first places that like we went to was Fenders. That was the bomb shows right there.
Yeah. And what's funny, after that, it was the Untouchables. Believe it or not, the Untouchables is really what set my foot into ska. It was them. I would say it was the Untouchables that put my foot into ska music when I really got involved in it. And then seeing bands like the Donkey Show, that turned me on to something totally different.
Right.
And that's where I went. Like, it's kind of where I went. I wanted to be where the roots of that music came from. I liked it. It drew attention to me. And that's where I'm at.
And that was seeing Donkey Show live? Okay, got it. Yeah.
Oh, I seen them. I seen them quite a few times, to be real honest with you. When we were younger, at one time, me and the bass player Thomas Zambrano, we used to hang out, stayed in Pasadena together, and this is like the '90s or early '90s and stuff. So yeah, I seen them quite a few times, and they were just great. They were a good band.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So, Rich, what was up?
Yeah, for me, it was my first show and my first album. My first show, I was a punk rocker, like actually like a straight edge kind of ball punk guy, and this guy named John Harriet, who I had befriended, he was a mod and he had a power pop band, 3-piece called The Start. And we had connected. He took me to the show at Fenders, and my first show was Donkey Show, Untouchables. I think the Crooks played, Big Express, and The Question.
Oh yeah, I've seen the flyer. Yeah,
it was incredible. Like back then, everybody was dressed sharp. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And there were scooters all the way down because Fenders was a huge place.
Sure.
So that was like, and the reason I got into it, I when I got out of the show, I started realizing this is what I need because I had a big depression problem. I was into punk rock, and there's nothing wrong with that here, but for me, I needed to get away from like negative stuff and be more positive. And when I walked in there, it was like almost like going to church, man. I was just like, wow, this is cool. Like, this is so positive, and everybody's like, this is like real like unity and this and that. And it was really cool. It was really cool. And first album I bought, it probably was Bad Manners because everybody said I looked like Buster. And so I bought that and I got into that, and I bought other albums. I was into like Operation Ivy and that because that's what we had back then.
Of course.
We didn't know about Jamaican ska. That's what we knew. And we also were into a lot of the English bands like the Busters, the Braces, Chaos, which is a lot of things people leave out of this history. But those English bands, those are the ones that influenced the LA bands, because that's what we listened to. We used to go to Culture Beat Records in Long Beach and buy all our albums. Much respect to Courtney, man. He was the one that supplied us what we needed.
He sure did. He was, if you needed it, he was there, or he would get it for you somehow, some way.
And he was so cool, dude. So cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So David, I'm interested in knowing your first album you bought.
That I bought.
Oh, you don't buy records?
No, my first one, I guess I bought when I was a kid. The first one I bought when I was a kid. I had a crush.
Or rocksteady or reggae.
It wasn't. It was kind of like power pop. I had a crush on Annabella Lewin of Bow Wow Wow.
Oh, that's a good one.
So,
wow, yeah.
So that was the first little album thing I bought was because of her. But when it became, I would say the Untouchables was the first cassette. I think it was cassette. I had the one with the glasses. What was it? With Jerry with the glasses is pinkish red.
Mm-hmm.
That one.
Yes, right.
Nice. So
my first ska.
In retrospect, we keep going back, of course we're gonna come forward. What was the scene like in Southern California when you guys started going up? The ska scene, yeah.
What do you want? At one time there was a lot of people afraid to go to shows because there was fights all the time.
Oh.
And it changed at one time. Like Rich said, in the beginning, it was very different. Like it was very unified, and people were just there, no matter what you were or who you were. People were just there listening to good music.
Right. Whether you were a mod or a skin or rude.
Right. Yeah. Correct. 100%. And even think about it. Back some of those shows, they even had mod bands playing with the ska bands. It was all together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You had The Question, and you had people like that, and you had The Key, and all those groups playing with ska bands, playing with No Doubt, and all those people. So it was all together. Then all of a sudden it got to the point where I think the music took off and people started getting their little crews and everybody this and that, and I think that's when it took a turn. It was very interesting, that's for sure. It was interesting.
And do you think? Yeah, sorry, Rich, you go ahead.
You always went to his show and wonder how long it was going to take for the first fight to break out.
Well, I'll say a couple of things. First of all, when I got into it in like 88, 87, the scene was a mod ska scene, okay? Because back then, like I said, you had the mods were into ska, and then they brought in the scooters and everything. And then you had all the skinheads, you had the rude boys, and everybody was dressed tight. As far as the fights go, coming from the whole skinhead scene, I'll tell you why that happened, was because there was a lot of Nazis that had infiltrated the scene. So that's who we would fight. And without the skinheads taking care of the rude boys and the mods, there was a lot. Like one of my friends actually got beat up outside the Reseda Country Club. His girlfriend was there, and they took pictures of it when he was down on the ground. They were Nazis. Wow. So that was the reason for the fights. And we kicked them all out of Los Angeles. They went to Orange County, or they went up north to Ventura.
Right.
But you won't see them anymore in LA because of what the skinheads did.
So back then, and we've heard a little bit about this from other interviews, and by the time I got into the ska scene, there wasn't as much of that going on. But so would the Nazi racist skinheads come there specifically to start trouble, or would they go there, enjoy the music?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was times I would go out to. There was a little club in Long Beach called Jets, put on by Spot Productions,
right?
And I want to give much props to Gerald Lockhart, who did Spot Productions. Him and Doug Fatone were a big part of that. And I would go out to their little club in Jets. It was cool. They had one room ska, and then the other room was mod and soul. Wow. So it was cool. Everybody got to dance with the one. And there was times where I actually almost got a confrontation. They would come and they'd wait outside, or they'd come in and like look all undercover. Yeah, they showed up, and there was a lot of fence walkers. There was a lot of people. It was.
He said fence walkers.
That's why Dave said, you never knew what was going to happen. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I wanted to look this up because for anyone who's interested in listening to the interview that Junior and I did with Courtney Miners of Culture Beat and Monkey Boot Productions, it's episode 32. That was a really fun and insightful interview with Courtney, who Junior and I have known for many, many years. And Courtney used to give great advice back in the early days of Reggae Nucleus too.
But before we leave the subject, I was reliably informed that some people even went to jail fighting the skinheads.
Oh yeah, I had many friends that went.
Okay.
Oh,
Many
there was
friends.
time. There was times.
Yeah.
And then we think Rude Boy just got out of jail. Just kidding.
right. So you touched on some of the bands, David. But let's go a little deeper on some of the bands, late 80s, early 90s. Did you guys see bands like Lucky Seven and early Jump with Joey?
Well, let me tell you a secret. I'll tell you a secret right now.
All right.
That guy who's sitting on the other side of us right now, Mr. Rich Carlstedt, he played in Lucky Seven.
Well, look at that.
Dead serious. And my keyboardist right now, my keyboardist is the originator. He started that whole group, Lucky Seven, back then.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, I have
Oh,
both.
do you know who his drummer was? Do you guys know who the drummer was for Lucky Seven?
Who?
Greg Narvis.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. Hepcat. Yeah.
Well, they had several, but he was one of them.
Yeah, he was.
And just a side note, we got it. The next one of the next releases we're doing is Lucky Seven. I have it on old ADAT, and I got to get it transferred. I already have the cover done. Wow. It's 8 studio songs that are just primo.
Yeah. You're talking about some 20 some odd years. It's been in the vault.
Sure.
Original Lucky Seven, yeah.
So what years was Lucky Seven active?
They must have been like probably like 93, 94.
Okay. And where were they based?
If not earlier.
Right. It's SoCal. They're LA based, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember so there was also the Federales who were around back then, right?
Well, the Federales was Raul, Dan, and Rich. I was just gonna say, and Rich was a part of that band as well.
I was their first bass player.
Interesting.
And actually, I left that band. I had some guy come to practice. They're like, "Why is this guy here?" I go, "Because I'm leaving, and I want to show him the parts." And they're like, "I don't want to leave you guys high and dry." And they're like, "Why are you leaving?" I go, "I'm starting my own band." That's when I started the Israelites. I started with the Federales because I lived in Selma, Tahunga, 20 minutes from them, and they lived in Santa Clarita.
The Twilight Tones was first before the Israelites.
Twilight Tones.
Yeah, I did Twilight Tones. We were scary ska. Ooh.
Yeah, they were kind of odd.
Yeah, we were.
So where were you guys? You guys went to
there was Sharpsfield Step was then too, Rich, and that was Greg Lee, and that was Dustin Berry.
That was pre-Hepcat.
Correct.
Yep, that was pre-Hepcat.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah, I should have asked earlier. Where were you born and raised? I don't think I did.
I was born in Michigan. I was born in Big Rapids, Michigan, and then I was raised in LA area. I moved out here when I was 10.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm from Staten Island, New York, and I was forcibly moved to California when I was 13 by my family, and then I moved up to Oregon in 2008.
Right. We're gonna get to that.
Yes.
All right.
Don't jump the gun yet, sir. So, Rich, what year specifically was the Israelites formed, and who are the original members?
Okay. It was Halloween night, 1989. Dave and I were thinking. I was at a Fishbone show, and this. I don't want to be forceful or anything or offend anybody, but I was at a Fishbone show, and I felt God telling me to start this band. And so I talked to Dave because we're both youth leaders at my church, and we basically inducted people from our youth group to play. And we practically had our first rehearsal.
People that you knew were musicians.
Yeah, from my youth group. Yeah. Yeah, one chick played keyboards. I got some other dude on drums. I think we had one guy trying to play horn. I mean, it was a horrible practice, but it was fun. It was our first practice. Halloween night, 1989. We practiced at my church. Our church.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, so look, you know, my drummer right now, I have a female drummer. Her name is Jennifer in Kingston.
Yeah, I met her recently.
So she learned how to play drums from Rich.
She goes way back. Wow.
Since she was like 12
She was
or
in our
13.
youth group.
We've noticed that she's been 12 or 13.
Okay.
She's one of the ones who took it, and she took the music, and she's a hell of a drummer. I mean,
I saw her recently. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
She's
been playing consistently since.
Say it again.
She's been playing drums consistently since that time.
Percussion and drums.
Yep.
She plays. Yeah, those two things.
A natural.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I could find a drummer who was just as good as her or just as good as my other drummer I had named Fritz, I'd put her back on percussion, because on percussions, she's incredible.
Wow.
She's incredible on percussion.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I have seen her play with Kingston Beat Allstars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
So,
incredible.
yeah. Continue, Rich, with the other original.
Oh, so yeah, we started off at the church, and then as I got more serious about it, found some musicians, and it's been like I can't even count. One day I want to sit down and actually write how many people have been in this band in the last like 35 years. I
It's
can't
hundreds.
even remember. I mean, it's like if you the average Israelite show, you can look out in the audience and tell people, hey, raise your hands if you've filled in this band or you've been in this band. And at least 20% of the audience. In fact, you know, that whole group, you know, like Delana, Adrian, they all came out of the Israelites. They all became friends. Roger Rivas used to play with us. And I helped him get his first band together.
That's where I met Bubba.
Yeah, Bubba.
Bubba,
Yeah.
all those
Hey,
people.
look.
It all comes from, you know, Israelites going on like 10-week tours and everybody hanging out, and you know that's what's fun about it. It's not an arrogant thing, but it's like that's how I've always been. Hey, let's all hang out and be friends and buy each other dinner or you know whatever. You know, it's cool. So
Hey, you know, another thing. I have my I have two guitars right now. Ricky Chacon from the Aggrolites, and I have Wally Caro from Mobtown.
Yeah.
Both those guys play guitar for the Israelites.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
yeah, dude.
I'm not
So did Wally play in Israel?
guitar in the very he played for a while with a couple of stuff with the Israelites.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did lead and gits for us on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I there's so many people that were in this band. It's
Wally's on top of the game mode. I saw him recently. He's
Look,
way up.
listen. Look, King Willie.
Yeah.
King Willie.
Yeah.
They came out because Johnny and Nathan were both in the Israelites. When the Israelites were over, they started King Willie, the two brothers.
All right. Wow.
The Israelites is like Ska 101.
No lie.
It's a ska train station. I have people even up here. I just had a guy who lived with me for 2 years, and now he started his own band. Okay, fly little bird, see you later. and then I just it's not hard finding people to be in this band because they're like, oh, dude, I know. Yeah, I'll totally play for you. You know, it's not hard. I just actually have a whole new lineup up here.
Right. So David, what years were you in the Israelites?
I couldn't even tell you. I'm trying to think.
You started in 88 through 96.
88.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost.
I was trying to say it had to be like 87, 88 to like 96.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost a decade. Huh?
Right. And so what are some, and this is I know you have so many highlights clearly. I mean I've seen Israelites so many times, a lot at the Steady Beat shows, some at your own shows, Rich, which we're going to talk about as well. But during the 90s, what are some of the highlights? If you just had to choose a few, this question for both.
This is interesting because in the 90s, what was the band to be? It was Hepcat, correct?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not going to explain it, but I'm going to let Mr. Richard explain it. But what's exciting for me is to see that band before who they ever were, to the bands that we knew them in before they were even Hepcat, to the situation, even that. And me and Rich knowing who Greg Lee was before he even knew who Alex was, because we knew Alex before he knew Greg.
Right. Wow.
So to see that go from seeing Sharpsville Step break up and the Federales break up, where Dave Fuentes and Lino and all these people came back into Hepcat, Narvis, all these people come, and to see that build and to see what they did, I feel like I felt very proud to see what they've accomplished and where they came from and what they've done and where they're just. That's one of my highlights. To like really, and to know who they are. They're my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to see them to accomplish the things they accomplished, I think that's been a real big highlight, honestly.
I can imagine. That's very well said.
And I've played, and honestly, we've played in Israelites. We've played with some serious legends before, and to see our friend,
I'm sorry.
to see somebody I know and a friend of mine become that.
Yeah.
Those people become that,
and they are that for sure.
No, that's a you can't argue that. And if you argue that they are not, then you don't know the ska scene. You don't know the music. You don't know it at all. Let's just be real.
Right. You want to sell out a club that's put their name on the marquee head yet.
That's 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you mentioned you play with a significant number of bands. Which one did you spend the most time with? And is there a favorite?
For what do you mean?
You played with a number of bands.
Your favorite? Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes. I mean, playing shows with those guys was always fun. They were just a bunch of clowns. And it was good to hang out. And look, I mean, look at the people who came from that band and where they're at now. I mean, you see that. I mean, you know, David Ukiti, who played with us, played with them, and he went on to do incredible things and still does incredible things, and played with Pancho Sanchez and things like that. So they were cool. Hanging out with the guys from C Spot, we loved hanging out with the guys from C Spot. You know, all of them were cool cats. Boogie and Chucky and they're all Ben. They were cool people. There's a lot of story. I mean, I feel honestly, like I tell people now, I feel blessed to be able to be in this little teeny scene, and been able to be a part of it with some of the greatest people that ever performed in the 90s.
Yeah. You know, frankly, it's the biggest scene in America, so it's not that small. Los Angeles, right? Southern California has the biggest scale.
Yeah. And I mean, Rich and I've been blessed to play with a lot of people, you know. I mean, one of the highlights, I think, being in the Israelites is playing with the Scotalites.
Yes.
And being friends with Roland Alfonso and enjoy hanging out with him and talking to him and just the things they would tell you and the things they would do. That was just incredible to people who created the music that we played, who pioneered the sound of ska music.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, you think about it, without ska music, what do you have? You don't have reggae, that's for sure.
Right. And all the other offshoots. Rich.
All the hundreds and thousands of genres that broke off from that style of music.
I know. It's so true. Rich, do you remember the first time you guys played with the Scotalites?
Yeah, well, let me kind of rewind back to my highlights.
Yeah.
It was good listening to Dave because I didn't really actually know how I was going to answer this, but for me, basically, you know, we talked about Hepcat. My one of the biggest highlights was being part of the whole Jamaican revival in LA. Okay, because here was the difference. Before, there was two drummers that set things apart. The drummers did not know how to do a Jamaican drop beat. We played this 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, and we just did the best we could because we didn't know. But once the Scotalites got back together in the 90s, the drummers were like, oh wait, Lloyd Nibs is playing different than us. And they caught on. So the two drummers, Greg Narvis and Wooly McNeil from Jump with Joey, those two bands started the whole thing because we started seeing them. We're like, wow, we suck. These guys are so good.
And that's the truth, though. And Rich, that's when it really changed for you musically with us, with the Israelites.
Yeah,
you really
everybody, all the bands started like they were mentoring everybody, and it was just like, wow. And so from there, just we changed. A lot of other bands changed their style, and this whole revival started. We started knowing what was up before we knew. Because when you listen to an old Jamaican ska album, first of all, it sounded like the recording was like, compared to like the modern stuff that was all like digital and plastic, it sounded like it was recorded in a bathroom. Okay. Which technically it almost was. I mean, the studios were all live back then.
Right.
But the drumming, you couldn't figure out, if you were a drummer, which I was, I couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing. But they all knew it. Like the drummers, a lot of people think like, when you're working the hi-hat, that they were doing the cymbal. Actually, I had this conversation with my drummer last practice. No, they had the hi-hat up. And that's how they worked it. And once we saw Lloyd Nibs play, that was it.
Live, right.
Yeah. So from there it moved on, and that was one of my highlights. And like Dave said, we've been blessed, man. Aggrolites twice. We played with Bad Manners. We played with Derek Morgan, and just hanging. That was some of my favorite times. And not only that, but all these bands that we got to hang out with and fellowship with and help school along to like do other things. I mean, I could go on and on, but the thing I love about the LA scene and why I travel 2 to 3 weeks out of the year to come down and play is because that's where the roots are. Because up here in Oregon, it's cool, but it's a so small scene, and it's really hard to unite everybody. But LA, it's like there's always something. You guys, your shows are just, dude, how did they get this guy? How did they get this lady to sing? Wow, they're shipping them over from Jamaica. This is great. So honestly, what other state has that? Right. None. Yeah. Everybody, you go back east, hey, there's cool bands and stuff, but the only thing remotely close to it is the Supernova Fest. Mm-hmm. But I've played all over the states, and I'll tell you, you're gonna play in Wichita, Kansas to 10 people. You're gonna play we played with the Wetlands in New York, and there was only like maybe 40, 50 people there. We played at the Toasters like 20, 30 years ago. But you come to LA, it's like, booyah, like everybody supports. Like even our festival last year I couldn't believe we had that many people show up. It was great. So those are my highlights.
And we are going to talk about the upcoming Roots Fest second.
Okay.
Hey, it's really weird. The Israelites have really brought together a lot of groups that people don't understand in this scene. I mean, I could scratch the surface with just 4 groups that came from Rich Carlstedt's ideas of putting somebody with somebody and things like that. Let's start with what was the first one, Rich, the Rhythm Doctors.
Oh, yes.
Okay. That band was formed on my porch in Whittier, California.
Dead serious.
I was standing there. There was a time at that time, 96, 97, where everything just exploded, right?
Rick was the house to be at.
Yeah, and so in Whittier we had like a huge scene. I mean, it was unbelievable. I did shows at the Bluebird Cafe, and there was all kinds of skinheads and all these people hanging out. So one day we're sitting on my porch, and gosh, I forget exactly who was there, but it was a lot of the original members from the Rhythm Doctors who we just hung out with. And I said, wait a second, you play bass, right? You play drums. Why don't you guys get a band together? And like, yeah, it's a good idea. 2 weeks later, they started, and within like 2 or 3 months, it's like, oh, the rhythm doctor started.
Let me tell you, Mark Kwan,
Mark Kwan is wicked. That
Mark
dude
Kwan
on a
used to hang
keyboard.
out with us. He used to hang out with us
So look, no, hold on.
when he
I'm
was
gonna
like
tell you,
17.
Right.
this is the truth. Mark Kwan is in the scene because of the Israelites. There was a time when we as everybody knows, our lyrics are pretty faith based on what we see things as.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. I mean, it is. But when we were playing the shows we were playing in the 90s in LA with all those ska bands, people knew there was a whole different side of this music, a Christian side of this music that people had no clue about. But we really didn't even know at the time either, to be honest with you, because there was not really our music being played. It was all punk rock and stuff like that. And we got management, and he took us to that side. And Mark Kwan came out of one of those shows at like Azusa Pacific or someplace we have played a big old festival. Mark Kwan and his friend David, they came and started hanging out with us. They driving with us to Arizona, doing all this crazy stuff with us. So that's just one band, the Vessels.
Oh, yeah.
But listen to this. So Dean and Gabe both come from Gabe comes from the Israelites. Now, we used to practice at a place in Whittier. It was at a church. Our manager got us a spot up in this church, the upper room. I'm just kidding. No, but in this place, at this old YMCA church, and they had a pool area, so we walk up this area and we would practice. And the little kids in their youth group would stick around and poke around and listen to things. Dean and Gabe came from that area. And when they got older, with Rich's help, they formed the Vessels.
Wow.
Well, okay, so actually how that started was our old singer, Peter, he had a warehouse, okay? And when he got a bigger warehouse, he gave that to me because he helped me start Kingston Beat. And so it was an empty warehouse. So I made a stage and I would have bands come in and rehearse and stuff. So I knew those guys play. There's so many musicians in Whittier. I said, hey, you guys want to start a band? They're like, yeah, okay. I'm going to play keyboards since all you guys have all the stuff already. And as soon as you get a keyboardist, I'll leave and you guys just take off. And that's what we did. And so that took off. And Mark Kwan, I just want to do a side note. I had a ministry towards skinheads where I would try to get them out of their crews, and we were called Zion Skins. And Mark and Dave were a part of that, and so were a lot of other people. Gabe, we used to have Bible studies in the park because it got so big at my house. We had like 60 people. Now, could you imagine going to a park? I don't care whether you guys put this on here. I just got to tell you, going to a park and walking by and seeing like 60 skinheads, and I would do reggae worship and preach the word, and they would all sit there and go, and people would be like, "What are they doing?" So that's what we did. It went from beyond just being a band of music, but actually helping these guys. And believe it or not, we had guys. There was like at least 6 crews, major crews. We would have guys from different crews that hated each other come to our Bible study, and then afterwards they'd be like, "You know what? This is really cool. I like being here." Because we didn't shove anything down anybody's throat. I said, "Hey, that's your problem. We're just gonna do this thing. If you guys want to hang out, hang out." And me and my ex-wife Jackie, when we got together, man, our house was mobbed every Saturday night. I mean, it was crazy. But anyways, that's just a side note.
Oh, that's
interesting, you know.
So the Vessels, Jay Bonner was part of that as well, right?
Jay Bonner actually recorded Roots in my garage. Our album Roots on a 8-track player. That guy is incredible. Yeah. He recorded the whole thing. He's so humble, so easy to deal with. Yeah. He's one of the best people that I ever met. And actually, I think he filled in for us a couple times, but he had his own project called Dub Street Rockers, which I released. Right. When I changed the label to Shantytown, I released that. I forget when it was, but I just hooked up with people. Hey, I want to help you out. And that's how I've always been. I don't look at this as like an arrogant thing. Like, oh, this is all about me. No. This is all about my message and about helping others and loving others and trying to get people at a better place in life, because there's a lot of people in the scene that are hurting.
Sure.
And I wish I could have spoken to some of these people that had passed away beforehand and helped them with their problems and talk to them, because that's what people need. That's why they're in the scene.
Sure.
A lot of them, they want to be happy. They want to be a sense of belonging.
So David, sorry, you said there was 4, right? You said rhythm doctors, vessels. I don't want to get off that train of thought.
Even no, but even there was the ambassadors.
Roger Revis's first band.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying, Roger Revis's first band, Ricky Chacon's first band.
Right.
And even the Aggrolites, in a way, came from Rich as well.
Right.
Aggrolites came from rhythm doctors.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and he put that.
Rhythm doctors and vessels, kind of.
So I have to put in my 1 cent. When I saw the keyboard player, you just mentioned
Mark.
I said, this is a reincarnation of Winston Wright.
Yes, right.
Because I'd seen over the years, I've seen quite a few keyboard players, but none was on his level.
When he
to that point,
when he came out one night, the whiskey with that afro and the kung fu outfit. My God, I lost it. That was great. That was so original to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to switch direction now. And ask Rich. When did you start promoting your shows and releasing music on your label?
Well, okay. The reason I released my own music is because I actually hate record labels. We got flown up to be on one of the major Christian labels, Tooth and Nail, and I turned them down because I'm a lot smarter than them.
What year?
What's that?
What year?
No, they were based out of Washington, Seattle.
Yeah, the year was 97,
but they owned everything at the time. They owned everything. And so I went up just to talk to them. But the thing that I didn't like about record labels, especially like the Christian ones, they all wanted to sign us. I'm like, nope. Because they had contracts where they kept your music, and then they would you weren't allowed to do anything for like 5 years after the contract was over with.
A lifetime.
Yeah,
and you know what?
real.
That's out for me, because you know what? This is music that was spiritually given to me.
7 to 8 cents. 7 to 8 cents on CD. 7 to 8 cents.
But
what the hell? That was ridiculous.
It wasn't.
You know who? You guys ever heard of the Supertones?
Sure. Yeah.
5 Iron Frenzy.
Sure. Yeah.
All those groups are bands because of us. And you know what? They all got robbed. That's serious. They sold hundreds of thousands of albums and didn't make dimes. And that was all from
just a bad deal.
What you would think would be an honest situation.
But for me, it wasn't even about the money. It was the fact that God gave me these songs, and this man is saying that he's going to hold it for me. I don't think so. All right. So I forget, what was the question again, Junior? I got off the hook.
When did you, specifically what year and what made you produce?
Okay. The label, everything. So, I never planned on being on a record label ever. And I went out at it with several band members about this. And I'm like, no, you didn't write this stuff. I wrote it.
Never wanted to be one.
You had a part of that, but this is not to be arrogant or prideful, but this is my band and this is the way it's going to run. Because you know what? I'm going to do this till I die. This is the last band I'm ever going to do. And you're going to leave in a couple of years, and then I'm going to be stuck with your mess. Sure. And that's not going to happen, okay? It's not because I hate your thing, but I've been doing this, and I know the direction I should go. So I came up with the name Kingston Beat, and we released our first album, Washed Away, on that. And prior to that, we had released...
The 45 before that, right? The 45 before that, no?
Yeah, the 45. We did a cassette single. There's a couple things we did, but then it started as we started playing all these Christian shows. In fact, we played Christian shows for about 2 or 3 years. We didn't even have time to play secular shows. We were playing big stadiums. We played the San Diego Sports Arena with POD. I mean, it was just crazy. It just took off. So we were making there was one point where I couldn't even work because I had when the whole ska revival not only happened in the Christian market, but in the secular market as well. Jamaican ska with steady beat, and all of a sudden, like, we didn't even have time to play those shows. We were getting booked for all this crazy stuff, and I couldn't even work because I had Christian bookstores calling me up. I didn't even do anything. They just got, this was before the internet. They would call me and be like, "Hey, we need 30 copies of Wash Away. We'll pay you up front." I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just get it. And the band was making like all kinds of money, and I wasn't even asking for it, and I couldn't even work because I was so busy with the band. It was unbelievable. Those whole couple of years before the downfall of ska around 2000, were just incredibly like
mid to
rich.
late
And
90s. Mid to late 90s was what was.
yeah, you know when it just busted open, like everybody commercials were playing it and this and that. It was just like crazy. And if you were even remotely ska, you were getting like $1,000 to play, or whatever. And it was crazy. So there was no point. And in fact, one time I booked a 10-week tour across the country because there were so many shows to play. But anyways, so that's why I started the label. And then I let it go for a long time. But now it was under different names, but same recordings. It was me. So Dave and I started thinking a couple of years ago, let's just bring it back. He gave me the idea. I said, you know what? That's a good idea. So now we're just busting out with Kingston B Productions. We don't want just a label, but we want a production company where we help out other bands. Even up here, I'll promote other people's shows. And then I help promote you guys or whoever, because that's what it's about. It's about the ska family, dude. It's about unity in the scene and this and that, and that's what we want to do at Kingston B. We don't want to be like Rockstars where this is how we are. It's all about us. No, it's about everybody.
Nice. So Rich, while you're talking, your microphone is still hot. So what are some of the challenges you face as a promoter when you wear that other hat? Promoters.
Crowds.
It's work. It's a lot of work. Okay. Nowadays, it used to be when I first got into doing it, you would make up flyers and you'd have to drive around to all these stores, which I had to do anyway because I had consignments with all these stores. I used to have to collect my money every month. Right. So we put flyers in the rack, remember? And then we'd like send flyers to fanzines because that's how we did. We wrote letters. So that nowadays you have to be social media. You have to know your stuff. And there's certain ways of doing things. You have to know all the rules and when to do this and when to do that. And I'm still learning. In fact, I'm learning from younger people. Yeah. Like, oh, this, and I'm always listening, absorbing like a sponge. Like, so I spend several hours a day just promoting. You'll see, like, if the littlest thing that comes out, like, oh, we got new shirts on the Bandcamp page. I'm part of like 100 groups. We post every day. Boom.
So is it easier now as a promoter, or is it more challenging now?
Internet and social media is 80% of the work. Yeah, and it's hard. But honestly, it's not hard getting bands because a lot of the bands know us, and it's just like a lot of the shows that I've done. There's very few bands that say, well, we need this guarantee. They're like, no problem, Rich. And they'll come and they know I'm going to pay them. And they know if we do well, you're going to get more money. In fact, the last we had, there's several bands at the festival where I gave them like a couple of $100 afterwards, for playing, because we made good off the door. Right. And I feel guilty taking all that money when, these guys did all their work because I know what it's like. I'm a musician. Right. And they were just like, we got paid. I'm like, yeah.
So, Junior, we talked that time, and about the situation. We talked about how it's easier for
I mean, that
musicians.
meeting we had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not
gonna
gonna say,
rob the bank.
right?
But you took my ideas and it worked, right?
No, but no, correct. You, I mean, last year we had a good lineup, and not one person was ever a guarantee of nothing.
Oh.
And you see this year the same thing. Not being funny, this year's a heck of a lineup this year,
Yes.
and not one ask
Yeah,
what
but
it
you guys
was.
are musicians, right? You guys, those are your comrades.
Yeah.
And that's what.
And that's why.
you, right? Yeah.
I
It's easy.
don't have that luxury.
Right.
My comrades are dead or they.
Just give me a call. Just give me a call.
Um,
Just give me a call. I'll get it done for you.
Rich, question for you. I remember you had a shop in Whittier.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
a handful of times. I lived in Whittier for about a year and a half, in the late '90s. But so talk about the store that you had for and how long you had it.
Okay, so London Calling, as I said, London Calling was the name, and we had a good scene. We had a good scene in Whittier, and my ex-wife at the time, we were good friends with this girl Amy, and she had the idea of selling clothes at the shop. And I said, well, what if I sold music too? She goes, oh yeah, you can do the music, just give me half the rent. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I found out who actually, did all the reggae and stuff, where you get it from, and that's Ernie B. Reggae. All right.
Yeah.
So I got an account with him, and it was on. I started. I figured out. I built all those racks by myself.
Wow.
All those CD racks, I built those in my garage by myself, and so we started, and it was crazy. People were coming up and this and that. Problem was that she was really. It was. I was busy working. I was working for Coca-Cola. I worked for them for 15 years. And, that's like major, like you're out there 12 hours a day, plus raising a family and a kid, and being married. It was hard. And it was hard on her because she was trying to pay her bills. So we didn't have anybody, and we didn't have anybody we could trust to run the shop. So we did that. And then it started in Pomona with Gonzo. They got together and, okay, yeah, we're going to expand. And then I built all the racks at his store and would come up and sell all my titles. And Adrian Villalobos, he did all the vinyl. He's like, yeah,
Yep.
I want to do it. I go, okay, well, just give me money. We'll order off Ernie, and you can take care of the vinyl, and then just pay Amy some of the money for rent. Yeah. So,
Was
me and
the
Adrian
second
have been
location also called London Calling?
London Calling. It was in Pomona. Yeah, it was on 2nd Street, and that was the second one. But it just all went down because we didn't have the proper people to run everything, and we didn't really know what the heck we were doing, as far as business goes. But it was fun though. I mean, we had a lot of crazy people come in there, and
it was a great shop. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, and people liked it. And you know why? One of the reasons why I did it. Do you guys remember Die Laughing?
I don't think
you
so.
probably would have.
I don't think so.
Die Laughing was in the late 80s, early 90s. It was run by this older mod lady and her daughter, and it was a shop out in I think they started in Pasadena, and then they moved up to Upland, somewhere where the 605 and the 10 meet. They moved it up there, and they sold all. It was basically the same thing. They sold all kinds of mod shirts and everything, and we go in there all the time to buy stuff. And in fact, one time, Bad Manners played, and they played in their shop. And the keyboardist played guitar. They had two guitarists and Buster, and it was the most. I'll just say off. Like I said, I don't care if you put this on there or not. I just love talking to these stories. They bought him 12-piece El Pollo Loco meal, and he ate the whole thing. I was just like, this guy's the man, dude. This is incredible. And then afterwards,
that's what Buster told Rick, my son. I have found you, my son.
They put him in a little sidecar and a scooter and drove him around the parking lot.
Wow.
So Die Laughing was like one of the great stores we used to go to. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing it. I go, yeah. And the reason why it closed, somebody came in and robbed them and hit the lady on the head, and she's like, I'm done. I'm not gonna do this no more.
Okay.
Right.
So
that was sad.
So how many years did London Calling exist as a shop?
Gosh, at least like 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
And when was that? What year? If you were to make it intelligent.
It was we probably started in like 97, 96, 97, and we went to probably like 99, 2000, something like that.
Right. Yeah,
when did you start Bluebird, Rich?
What's that?
When did you start Bluebird?
Oh, that was already an art gallery, and I just went over and asked her, "Hey, can we do shows here?"
But when was that? What year was that, though? What year was that?
That was around the same time, like 97. That whole scene in Whittier, from 96 to 2000 was popping off. There were so many people.
Yeah.
There was at least 100 people from the scene just in Whittier.
Amazing. So
people would walk down the street to go to the shows. They lived so close. That's how crazy it was.
I do remember that. David,
remember the show with Derek Morgan? West Coast Intensified?
That was the night after Derek played Morris's show in Long Beach.
Yeah, that we had to be like, shh,
sure,
don't promote it, nothing.
Don't tell nobody.
Brian Dixon's the one that got him. He goes, hey Rich, you want Derek to play that show? I'm like, how are we gonna do that? He goes, don't worry about it, I'll take care of the money. He goes, he doesn't like playing those Jamaican shows. He goes, so those reggae shows. He wants to play for the scene. I'm like, all right. And I mean, it just exploded. There's so many people there. It was crazy. That was a fun night. Anyways, just thought I'd say that.
No, that was, I remember that now. David, I was going to ask you, so Post-Israelites were you, what bands did you work with?
I had a band. Watch, Rich is going to say something smart. I had a band, actually, I had a band after the Israelites called Bits and Pieces.
Bits and Pieces, okay.
Rich will say it's called Reese's Pieces, but anyways.
It was a ska reggae group?
More ska, but it was had a little different twist to it.
Okay.
Because not everybody came from the scene. Actually, the horn players I had at that time was David Ukidi.
Oh wow!
And Pablo and Alvaro from Big Dog Small Fence. They were playing horns with us. Okay. I had King Willie's drummer, Joaquin, and some other guys out of the Christian scene that was in the Christian scene, music scene, playing with us as well. And we did that that was 96. 97 till about 2000, 2000, just before 2001. And then after that, I started doing some management with some bands and stuff, management. And that was it. I did some did booking for, I worked for a promotion company called Wise Promotions, and we were booking for like, we could book for anybody. We had a whole roster of people we could book for.
Right.
We had a cat named Andy. I wish I could find him to this day. I have lost contact with him, but Andy was my boy. Like we started this company, a sheriff out of El Monte, and myself and another guy. We started this company called Wise Promotions, and we could book everybody from Drake. We had all that. I had all that access to do all those people. We were booking a lot of reggaeton at the time, to be honest with you. Nicky Jam and whatever his cousin's name was, Daddy Yankee or whatever.
Right.
Those guys, we did a lot of that stuff out here. But did some work with Dr. Dre's son, Curtis Young. Did stuff with him. a lot of other shows we did were booking shows for like all these old hip hop, all these Corrupt and Sugar Free and all these old cats. And this was the early 2000s, I guess, when they were trying to do all that stuff. But we did a lot of stuff at the time. And then I stopped for a long time, and I just couldn't get it out. I couldn't get music out of my system. And Rich and I had talked about something, and it didn't go through. Then it came out to be the Kingston Beat Allstars.
Right.
And that's where we're at now.
And we're going to come back to you here in just a minute. But Rich, let's go to you. Oregon, your relocation.
Well, mainly it was because, my wife at the time needed a change. We needed a change. We weren't making it financially in LA. And so there's a lot of things that went into it family-wise. But I had to do it, man. I couldn't make it anymore. Plus, one of the main reasons was I worked for Coca-Cola, and down in LA they weren't union, but up here they are. They're Teamsters, and I would make a lot more money. So we packed up, moved up here.
And what year? What year was that?
That was 2007.
Right.
And I wasn't planning on doing the band again. Wanted to work on marriage and my kids and spend more time with my family. And then that fell apart right away. And I wasn't going to do the band. I was just like devastated, you know how it is. But I keeping on, and I had Matt Griffin up here, who was in Simmer Down Productions, did a lot of compilation stuff. And he came up to me. I went to this Bad Manners show up here, and he's like, "Hey, are you going to still do the band?" I go, I don't know, man. Well, I guess I'm going to now. There's not much more. And he's like, "Well, I play drums." I go, "Well, we'll need a bass player at least to get started." Okay. So he found people. And then from there, it just started all over again. And I've had like all kinds of people like come up to me. And so some really good musicians. And the thing about the problem with Portland is, though, every musician is in 3 bands.
Okay.
So if you have a lineup, you have to have at least 2 backups for that one person, so that if that person can't make it, you call the other guy. And that's how it is now. Oh, you can't make it? Okay, can you go? Like we're going to Mexico next week to play a festival.
Yes.
And half the band is subs. They're gonna be fill-ins. And in fact, we're gonna be using the trombonist from Out of Control Army.
Oh, amazing.
I sent him the charts, and we're gonna have one practice with him, and that's it, because we only have 2 horn players. I don't have a big horn section because it's too many people to pay, and we don't need it. If you have a good trombone and tenor, you don't need nothing else, But anyways, yeah, no, so that's why I did it. Just basically family and, and more money, better. And I live like a king up here. I live out in the country. I own a 3-bedroom house that I paid for by myself. You can't do that in LA. Okay. What I pay for mortgage, most people pay for rent, and I'm blessed now. I work for UPS now, which is the same union. I'm going to retire in 7 years. And once I retire, I'm already to the point where I get 3 weeks paid vacation a year, and I can take any time off I want.
Right.
So I'm already starting to do more and more stuff musically. And when I'm done in 7 years, I have a full pension. I'm going out everywhere as long as I'm physically able to do it. And I'm just going to go to like Croak, just like the Scott and all the other guys. You're going to see me playing if I make it to 70, 80 years old, I'm still going to be playing. And in fact, people lately, I've had comments, I've been posting stuff. I've been like, yeah, I'm doing this, and this. And I had people comment like, "Dude, you're really busy lately." I go, "Yeah." And I'll tell you why. This time on our life, and this gives respect to a lot of people. Our time here is very short. And as you get older, it gets shorter. And people are like, like I'll be talking to my graphics like, dude, we need to get this done. We need to get this done. I've got 3 recording projects going on right now. And I've got a bunch of stuff, and I'm pushing people to get stuff done, artists and stuff, people that take their time. Like, dude, if you don't do it, I'm getting somebody else to do it. Why? Because I need to get this done. I'm like, I was so stagnant for the first like 10 years being up here. But now that I got everything together and I have like this little network of recording, I'm pumping stuff out.
Yeah.
Well,
Because, how
you
many
mentioned getting
of
stuff done. That's how Bob Marley function.
well,
Wide
no, I
open.
take the ethic from Cox and Dodd,
Mhm.
everything he did. And he had his job, and then he went to the liquor store and he sold alcohol, and then he started Studio One and all this stuff. I watched that whole Studio One DVD, and that's where I get all my business effort from. And the one thing that he said that was very important to me, all the money from the business goes back into the business.
Excellent. Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So while you're still talking, I wanted to ask you to mention out of courtesy the names of the musicians in your band at the moment.
Okay, I got this. My drummer is a guy named Andrew Yates, and he comes out of the roots reggae scene here. He's a really good roots reggae drummer. I had to really work with him on the drop beat. I'm like, dude, it's not a disco beat, man. It's like you got to use that right hand, work that right hand, work that right hand. Because I'm very picky about my drummers. They have to play it correctly because that's one of the main focus things. Okay, so he plays drums. I got this guy, David Flores. He's from Tacoma, Washington. And when I put out the word that I need people, he got in touch with me. And I'm like, dude, you're 3 hours away. He goes, I don't care. I want to be in your band. He goes, and I look back at my old emails. This guy's been trying to get into the band for 12 years now.
So
He drives 3 hours down for rehearsal and 3 hours back up. That's the thing out here. It's not like LA where you can hop on the freeway and wait in traffic for 3 hours to get somewhere. You're going to hop on the freeway. You're going to drive 3 hours to go somewhere, to a restaurant, to the ice skating rink, or wherever you want to go. That's how long it's going to take. So 3 hours back and forth. David, great guy. And he actually promoted shows up in Seattle too, back in the day. And actually, both David and Andrew are coming down to play Roots Fest with me.
Nice.
So you're going to see some Oregon heads there. On keyboards, I got my old keyboardist Gray, who's really great guy, great keyboardist. He played with me for a couple of years, and he's the only guy that I kept. I didn't really kick everybody out. Everybody just kind of like left. I'm like, you know what? I need to do a different focus here, and so I got new people. My saxophonist is Malcolm, and he does a lot of playing with a lot of people. And I hooked up with him last year because we play this festival up here called Firefest. I need a saxophonist, so he filled in. And then when I lost my horn players, I'm like, hey Malcolm, you want to play? He goes, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. Oh dude, I'm so honored. I'm like, why? He goes, dude, you're the one that got me into reggae. And I'm like, okay. And then we need a trombonist. I go, you know any trombonists? He goes, oh yeah. My friend Terry. This guy shows up. He's 65 years old, and he's phenomenal. And I go, who have you played with? He goes, oh, UB40, the Blues Brothers.
Wow.
I chart music. I've been on tour. I'm like, hey, you want to play? How much do I have to pay? He goes, oh, I don't care. I like this. This is cool.
That's so
I used
great.
to play ska back east. And it's just amazing how the whole thing just came together. So those are that's my 6 guys.
Yeah.
And whenever Terry can't make it because he plays a lot, there's always trombonists that I can get, But as long as I keep that rhythm section core, the horn players, I know I can work that out. But yeah, so that's the lineup now. Yeah.
Fantastic. So David, won't you give some props to the members of the Kingston Beat All-Star?
And what year? What year did you form?
I don't know.
This
is our 3rd year together as a band, I think. 2000, I think in 2020, 21 we started. I think I got the idea during COVID, and I started working on it. And once I finally finalized, we got stuff together. We were Rich and I were going to do something, and like I said, it didn't work out, and it became the Allstars. And
Well, no, what happened was I wanted to do something separate from the Israelites, so I called up. I got together, most of the guys that are in the Allstars. I say I want to do this side thing called Israelite Train, and we were supposed to play, but it didn't work out. So I told the guys I couldn't make it down because I screwed up on my vacation schedule. And then I told Dave, I said, "Why don't you guys just start a band?" So go ahead. That was it.
So it was in that time, and so we took it and ran with it. And then a few members have changed since the beginning. But right now I have Jennifer on drums. I got Ruben on keyboards, which is the guy from Lucky Seven. I have Wally Caro and Ricky Chacon on guitar and lead. I have Christian Capson and Sam on horns. I do backing vocals, and we've had Tony Green singing with us most of the time. So and
Jim.
that will. Oh yeah, I forgot about Jim. Man, I can't. I can't believe I forgot my bass player because that dude holds it down. That's I have one of the best. Me personally, if you ask me, I have some of the best band members in the business right now. That's my personal opinion. Oh. And we haven't scraped the surface of what our potential is. So, and it's just getting better and better.
And how many members in the band?
8.
8.
Including myself. Yeah.
Right. And you just go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and you just recently, a couple of weeks ago, had the honor of backing Monty Nesmith, Mr. Simmer, yes, right, and of the Pyramids.
That was man, that guy. He was, like I said, I've been around a lot of. I've been blessed to see a lot of legends and meet a lot of legends and hang around them and do things. Man, Mr. Monty Naismith is just a step above.
Yeah. I second that.
Right? I mean, and I'm not being funny. Like, right. You get people, and I know Eric, and I know Junior know this because I know Rich. You get people who are professional walk in there and they, dictate, or they become dictators, and you have no opinion, no thought. It's like it's this way or the highway. If you don't want to back me this way, then get out of here. Man, this guy came in with this like attitude like we wasn't expecting. Like he's throwing out, well, do you guys want to do it this way? You guys want to do it this way? We had to stop and say, hey, look, bro, this is your music. You tell us how you want it done.
Right.
But no, he was just. He was a pleasant person. He was just pleasant. I mean, just to spend that time with him. And like I said, I've been around a lot of people in this business, but he was just the whole band was just like, wow, he was so different. And we were so pleased to be with him. And that experience for us was great because skinhead reggae is not something we play a lot of.
Right.
And we know that we can pull that off now. You know what I'm saying? And for him to give the compliment he gave to us was very high respected in my book.
Sure.
And I'll tell you a secret. There's a song that we're going to be doing as the Allstars from now on. It's called Clint Eastwood's Revenge. That's a song that Monty wrote and did.
Oh wow!
And after rehearsal, he said, I'm giving you guys this song. I want you to play this in your sets.
Oh.
I want you to do what you have to. He goes, I want you guys to perform this the way you need to perform it. He goes, I want to give it to you to play anytime you guys want to play it. This is your guys'. I'm giving it to you to play. I was like, what? That just was something cool. I mean, you don't hear that too often with people with their music and things like that,
Yes.
It was honestly, it was such a refreshing situation in working with somebody like him.
Yeah.
The band was on fire that night, every track.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Every track.
I've seen videos. Unfortunately, I could not make
every track.
But thank you.
That's true.
He's an incredibly amazing guy, Monty.
Yeah. And a shout out to Marv Mack at Soulside for
Yep.
um,
Marv does some good stuff there too.
he does.
Marv does a lot of good stuff.
Before we talk about Roots Fest, Rich, I want to go back. So I've seen Israelites a number of times over the last, I guess,
50 years,
30 years or so. But I've also seen you've done an amazing job of posting some incredible old photos, right, of the band on tour and this and that. You've had a number of female and amazing women musicians and singers that have played with Israelites. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Touch on, and I know you mentioned Jennifer as a drummer, but touch on a few of the other. I know that you said you've had a number of players come in and out, but I'd love to give a special shout out to some of the women that have played in the band.
All right.
well,
first and foremost, respect, and probably the most outstanding one was my ex-wife Jackie. She had a lot of talent, and she sang. She tried to sing as much as possible as a Jamaican, a female Jamaican. She was all into like Millie Small and all that stuff. And even when I didn't pronounce things right, she'd be like, "No, cut this word off." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, she really helped out a lot, and she played keyboards. I mean, we were like Paul and Linda McCartney, man. It was so great.
John and Yoko.
And then we had Ann backing us for a while. Again, just another hang around that we just recruited to sing. Because we went on tour, and my wife needed another female to talk to, so we got her in the band. And then not just the singers, but Ginger Reyes played bass for us for a long time, and we actually met her at our church too. Like, when we used to go to Calvary Chapel, and we met her there. She was another hang around in our big, huge group of people. Wherever we went, there was like at least 20 people that came with us. We didn't even need to promote the show because we brought the show with us. Ginger went on to play for Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah,
and then she had
right.
Halo Friendlies.
She was in the Halo Friendlies, but that was her biggest thing, was going to Smashing Pumpkins. So Ginger was incredible. She was really cool to work with and stuff. She was very compact. I could put her on tour in the back seat. She was so small. She would curl up like a little cat. It was great. So, yeah, I don't know what other singers. I think that was the only females that and
Delana.
Of course, Delana. I just thought of that.
Shout out to Delana.
But see, I actually nicknamed her Scalena. That's her real Scalena. And great trump. I mean, I don't know how she got into the band. I know we were practicing at Peter's Warehouse one day, and I guess she had called me or something. I don't know how she got in touch with us, but she walked in, this timid 16-year-old girl with her mom, and she's like, "Okay, well, yeah, I want to play and this and that." And so she started playing. I'm like, "Oh, this girl's pretty good." So she stayed with us, and she didn't really know. She was into like the Christian third wave scene and this and that. And after a while, I I started getting her more, like, I indoctrinate people into, like, the scene and how to dress and because it's a lot more than music.
Sure.
When you play a show as a musician, especially in my band, you're going to church. Okay. So you need to dress properly. No t-shirts. No, you're not going to dress like you're going to clean your house. You need to have respect for this music. So I started schooling her. And the funniest thing was, we were in New York, and we had just come out of the store, 99X, and she walks up to me and she's all, "Rish," because she had a little list. "Rish, look what I just bought of Fred Perry. Do you see what you're doing to my mind?" So it's been very interesting. There was a time when I think I had like 4 girls, and it was like half girls and half guys. And it was some good times, man. Very interesting times.
Oh, that's so great.
But
Wow.
props to all of them, man.
Indeed.
Yes.
Real troopers.
I'm sure.
So for the both of you, what's in store for the second annual Roots Festival, which is scheduled to take place on September the 14th, First Street Pool and Billiards, downtown Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world. What's in store? It's a question for both.
Well, the lineup is good this year, and we were just talking. I don't know how to set it up because I don't know who. It's a good lineup, and everybody we have, they're good enough not to open. They're good enough to be down the list, down the way. But we have the Scufflers. We have Rich. Say that band, please, because I don't want to screw up their name.
The Amalgamated.
That's correct.
Amalgamated. And you have
them
from San Diego.
Mutualero.
Yeah, another great band. Yes.
We have the Steadians on it this year. The Allstars, the Israelites, the Elysians, Sugar Brown, and just added this.
It's not definite yet, but possible.
But, well,
just say it. They can edit it, dude.
Okay.
Well,
so Joe Quinones' new group, JQ and the Steady Situations or whatever it's called.
Oh yes. Nice.
They're
Fingers crossed for them. How about that?
They're down to do it. They're down to do it. If everybody.
Don't forget the West Coast Downbeat Orchestra,
which is an all-star.
Which you may ask. I was doing all-star bands back in like the 80s, and whenever we played with the band, I would always say, like, especially if they had a good horn section stuff, hey, you guys want to come up and do some Scott Abels tunes with us? And
right.
you know, I was always all about that. So I said, we don't really have a headliner, so let's start a tradition. Every band that's playing, mostly my band, will do the rhythm section. Now, this is the thing about this. This is going to be 3 drummers. I'm going to play Freedom Sounds. Then we got another guy doing Rockford Rock, and then another drummer playing Ball of Fire. We're going to try to have 2 keyboards.
Rotate.
Alternate.
Yeah. Well, I want to try to get every single band member involved in some way in this. And I want to develop this to like a traditional thing every year. Oh, I wonder who's going to play in it this year. So it's kind of like a jam, right?
So it's just one song each drummer.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I want to play drums. Like, I'm going to have to really practice, but I want to play Freedom Sounds. So
yes.
I haven't played drums in a long time, so I'm going to start rehearsing. But anyways, Jim Thornburg from Allstars, ex-Israelites, is going to, or still Israelites LA. Israelites is a family. You never know when I'm going to call you up to play. But anyways, he's going to play upright. Ruben on keys. We may have another keyboardist. And every horn player from every band, as many as I can get.
Right.
And because horn players, one guy starts playing, they can all catch on. It's not a problem.
Sure.
So basically, my band is, we're working on the rhythm section. We're gonna have a rehearsal the night before. Those 3 tunes, just kind of run them, not a bunch of solos. But when we play live, those songs are gonna be like at least 10 minutes each, 15 minutes, because we have everybody solo. I did it up here with a couple of bands. We were called the Northwest Downbeat All-Stars. And actually Northwest Downbeat Orchestra, because everybody uses All-Stars. No offense, Dave, but I wanted to use orchestra because the only band that I know that ever did that was Tokyo Ska. So I just started to use that. But anyway, that's what's gonna be. It's gonna be a jam. It's gonna be a unity thing, and it's gonna be amazing because, and I'll just tell you this now. You know, we didn't rehearse. We basically know these tunes are standards.
Sure.
And we're just going to come up there and wing it. And it's just going to be fun, you know?
And about what time you guys go on? You guys are the headliner.
I don't like headlining anymore. I'll go on at like 8, 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's early. I have to work, so I thought you were headline.
I'm old. I get tired.
The All-Star will be the finale.
Say it again.
The Allstars, would that be the finale, the grand?
Well, yeah, the Downbeat Orchestra. Yeah, that'll be the grand thing.
Do you know, honestly, if things go well with Mr. Quinones, I'm gonna let him headline the show.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I'll be honest with you, because I love that cat's voice.
Oh yes.
I love how he thinks. He's so easy.
That's why he's where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not be funny. You know, people sing and they look like they're struggling to hit notes, and he's like, he makes it look so easy, and he's just a good guy. He loves the music, and I'm glad to see him back with a band.
Indeed.
With his own band,
Right.
I'm so stoked for him, and if he does this,
He's doing very well, very well.
Yeah.
All over the place.
How long will the average sets be for the bands on Roots Fest?
When it starts getting to the top, we're gonna probably do 30 minutes, and then when we get up to the 8 o'clock, it'll be an hour.
Yeah. Yep.
So Israelites will be an hour, will be an hour, Joe will be an hour, Elysians will be an hour.
Yep. And what's the capacity of the venue?
500.
Oh, it's a good sized place. Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's a big pool hall, and they got a stage with a backline already.
I don't even know.
There's a dance floor.
2 pool tables or 3 pool tables.
They got a dance hall, and then they have a whole outside back patio. So technically, yeah, we can fit 500. We're gonna put all the vendors and bands and the food outside.
Yep.
And then inside's gonna be the bands playing and everything else.
Right.
So
yeah. And where can fans buy tickets?
it's on the flyer. We're going through it's called Eventbrite.
Eventbrite.
And yeah, the link is on there.
Yeah,
it's too much to remember.
No, all good. We'll make sure to share it when we post this for sure. So and we definitely encourage everyone to come out and experience Roots Fest and these incredible bands too. So outside of Roots Fest, what does the short-term future look like for both you guys? David, you start.
I don't know. We're gonna try. I don't know. I've been really trying to contemplate how I want to do certain things.
Yes.
With things, but musically, we're gonna just keep pushing. And to be honest with you, I'm 99% positive our band has landed a residency.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a huge spot, but it's a good spot, and it's in the city of Pomona. So
cool.
Yeah.
We'll
so we're just gonna keep moving forward, and at Roots Fest we'll have a little surprise for you this time too. We have a different vocalist with us this time.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
Great.
it'll be different, but we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep moving forward with what we're doing now. We're all old, and not being funny. We're all old, and we just love the music. It's all we care about. We just love the music. We love to play the music. We love how it makes you feel. Not being funny. It keeps life in you, and we love it. So that's what we're gonna keep doing until the wheels fall off, I guess.
There we go. Rich?
Oh boy, you got about an hour. I got so much stuff I'm doing.
I was like, Lord, this guy.
How about the Cliff Notes version?
Basically, I'm pushing recordings because playing shows, that's cool. But how many concerts do you remember? But how many albums do you remember? I want to leave a legacy. So I'm already like 6 albums behind that I have written and ready to go. It's just getting the money to get them done. So I got this little network now.
Join the club.
Fritz Madden, drummer from Israelites, Allstars, etc., lives up in Idaho. He's only 7 hours from me. So what I do is he records. So I go down to his house and we record whatever we're doing. I record the bass and we record the drums and the guitar. From there, once he's done working on it, he sends it to Esteban Flores, who plays for Matt Mosca.
Yes.
Esteban lives a half hour from me in Salem. So it gets sent over there. I do the bass and horns, vocals. I redo my guitars, everything in his house. From there, it goes to Solomon Jabby. Oh, no, he mixes it. And then from there, mastering, it goes to Solomon Jabby in LA. And he does all the mastering for me. My artwork, I got this guy, Caleb, that does all of it. So now that I have this little network built up where I'm not going into one studio and paying thousands of dollars with some engineer that's going to waste my time.
Sure.
I'm doing stuff through this. So the first thing that we're releasing, it's already done. We're on the mastering stage right now. Artwork is pretty much almost done. We're doing, if you guys remember the Roots 45?
Yes.
That we put out?
Yes.
Years ago? Well, I'm doing that again. The cover is going to be a fold out, same concept, but now I have new pictures on there of all our friends. And guess what? You guys are on there too. You guys are going to be in that album cover.
We are.
I took pictures. Yeah, that one picture I sent you of Junior and stuff. I don't know if I have a picture of you, Eric, but I got a picture of a lot of different people in there.
Great.
And it's going to be a fold out. It's a 4-song album. It's called Rude Awakening. And it's all skinhead reggae. And it's geared towards skinheads, but pretty much anybody that likes reggae, you know.
Yeah.
But we haven't done a skinhead reggae album yet. So this is going to be good. I got a lot of good horn players on there. There's going to be some good hits on there. So that's almost done. And even Jim, my bass player from LA, you know, plays Allstars and stuff. He heard it. He goes, "That's the Israelites." Like it's probably better than even our last album.
So look,
and then
I let them hear Junior. I let them hear that in the studio during rehearsal, and Monty was listening to it. Monty was like, "Hey, that's good. That's good. That's good."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Monty,
right. You have his blessings. You know,
so
time is no longer our friend, but complete your thought. Time is
okay.
against us.
Okay, so then if you remember, before the pandemic, we recorded an album called Restoration, and it didn't get much publicity. Because it was done in the pandemic, and everything kind of went, you know, like nothing was really, like music wasn't happening, nothing. The album title, someone from my band wanted that album. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the cover art. I didn't like anything about it. The recordings were great. In fact, we have Lester Sterling on there.
Wow.
It's his last recording ever.
On planet Earth.
Yeah, we have Nathan Breedlove on there, trumpet for Scott Abels, who literally lives in Seattle, like 3.5 hours from me.
Oh, wow.
He came down, we hung out together, he recorded. So we got some good people on there.
You got Joey on it too, don't you?
Yeah, I was about to say that, Dave. So what we did is we're going to re-release it as Shantytown with the better cover. You guys have probably seen the cover before. But anyways, we did 3 bonus tracks, and Joey Altruda from Jump with Joey, who also lives near me. He lives in Seaside, Oregon now.
Yeah.
Everybody's moving up here, man. Everybody. And he recorded 2 bass parts on there.
Nice.
So it's going to be re-released as Shantytown. So that's the second thing. And then we're also we're also starting work on our next full-length album called Israelite Train, which is Junior, do you guys remember the Prince Buster live on stage where he did all rocksteady? It was recorded live in England, but it was all like Motown horns. It was like da 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 da. The whole album's like that.
Okay.
That is my
Your
favorite.
album.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That
Not the
Prince
same
Buster-
intro on all the songs, though.
What's that?
Not the same intro on all the songs, just the energy.
The energy, that vibe of Motown Rocksteady. So I redid a lot of tunes that I have done before, but I made them more soulful, you know? So that's what we're working on now. We're hoping to have that out next year. But again, it's finances, not necessarily with the recording, but production. Vinyl's expensive because we're going to be pressing all the stuff on vinyl. And we're also remaking all of our old albums on vinyl. Roots is going to come out on vinyl. Jamaican Celebration, all of them are going to come out on vinyl eventually. We already did Shantytown on vinyl because vinyl is back. And believe it or not, cassette tapes are too.
Yeah, so we hear, right?
Up
right.
here, up
Right.
here, people are buying cassette tapes again. But anyways, yeah, that's basically it. And then I'm trying to get this new band, like us working together. I'm going to bring a couple of them down to play for Roots Fest. And then we got some little things planned that we're going to be doing. We're going to be playing in Utah coming up. We're going to do a little tour to Austin, Texas in March. And then next year, I'm going to try to get us on all the festivals.
Nice.
So
and you said, because this will come out in time, you're going to Mexico City next week?
Yeah, next weekend. Yeah.
That's at a festival?
Yeah, it's called Scapatech. And the people are already losing it because we haven't played Mexico in 7 years, and we have a way bigger fan base in Mexico than we do here.
Wow, okay.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
The last time I went to Mexico City was 7 years ago, and when I got out of the van, I got mobbed. We played a festival right by the pyramids. It was 3,000 people, maybe 5,000, I don't know. And we walked in, and it just happens every time I go in there. Pictures, autographs, people, trying to converse with people, and it was just crazy. We ended up not playing because a storm came in and wiped out the soundboard.
Oh wow!
The next day we played in Mexico City in this warehouse, and there was over 200, and it was all mostly skinheads that had traveled all over Mexico to come see us play. So this festival, people are already losing it. People are writing me.
What happened to your
they're just
email,
like,
Rick?
what's that?
What happened to your email when they started advertising it over there?
Oh my gosh, dude. It's crazy. Like the love. Have you guys ever been to Mexico or gone to any shows over there?
We've got a number of.
I'm telling you, the love of this music is just crazy. We played a show in Mexicali one time. It was a festival, and there was thousands of people there, and they were just memorized. They couldn't believe this big fat white guy was playing basically their music because it comes from their music, and they just treat you so good. A lot of times the promoters, they'll be like, Rick, what do you want to eat? I'm like, 6 tacos and 2 Cokes. And they're like, 6? I go, yeah, they're small. But they're just all the time, like and then we went to that one. I'm sorry, I just love telling these stories. The last time we went, our promoter, his name was Global. The guy was almost 500 pounds. He's like, he starts driving us to the next gig. The next day, he's all, you guys like tortas? And we're like, yeah, sure. He stops in the middle of the trip at this torta place on the street and buys us all like food. I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. Like, just the way they treat you is so great. And just, oh man, I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yes, so indeed. Cool. Well,
have a wonderful trip there too.
Yeah. I think we'll just about reach our destination, man. I tell you, time is really and truly not our friend at this particular moment.
So. And I know we can go on, and we just scratch the surface, but,
yes,
but this has really been a nice trip down memory lane, and great talking with you guys.
Wonderful.
All
so
right.
We've been
you
fortunate
too,
to be a part of this whole thing and be a part of the scene. Just feel fortunate to be a part of it.
So thanks to everyone for their ongoing support. Thanks to you for taking time out. How we didn't put you to sleep. And gonna ask each and everyone to please subscribe to this podcast series and YouTube channel. Follow at History of LA Ska on Instagram and join our Facebook group. A lot of people are joining the Facebook group, right?
Very thankful.
Man,
Very
it's growing leaps and bounds. Yes.
You guys got a lot of Instagram followers.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
We're very thankful about that as well, indeed.
And of course, this series is produced by Rockery Radio, Eric Kohler.
Yeah, and Junior, I want to thank you and Rich, and David, Israelites, and obviously now with Kingston beat Allstars as well, David. You guys put a lot into the scene over the years, and I love the stories. and hearing some of the spin-offs and some of the groups that were inspired by Israelites and everything you brought. So a big congrats to you both. Good luck in Mexico City. All the best as well with the Roots Fest. I'm going to try to make it out if I'm in town, and encourage everyone to come out and.
Hey, you guys want some tickets to give away? You guys want to give some tickets away?
Let's do that.
How many weeks do we have until? Like 5 weeks?
Yeah,
September 1st. No,
mid-September. So about
14.
September 14th. We have on the 14th is when it is.
Yeah, approximately.
So we'll do that. We'll do some ticket giveaways for sure. That'd be great. Yeah.
All right. So how many shows you do a week, Junior?
1 a week.
1 a week, and we have about how many weeks? You said.
Oh, I'm not good with maths. So approximately 3 weeks.
We're the 20th, so we got about 5 weeks.
Yeah,
maybe, right? Less than that.
We'll do a contest.
Rich, how many want to do?
5.
Sounds like a deal.
Nice.
1 a show. All right.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have our people
go ahead and just get the names for us and send us the names, and we'll take care of it at the door.
Right.
Yes. Sounds great. Yeah.
All right.
Guys, thank you.
And if both of you are coming, let us know. We'll get you guys in.
Nice. We appreciate that. And
dude, if you're coming, Junior, you can hit the stage, brother.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, I've been taking off from KXLU a lot, so I can get there not before 11. I mean, from a
radio show.
Yeah,
right. Well, he can get there.
Okay.
Get there for the last.
If I'm going to be on the radio promoting, then I have to be on the radio to promote the concert.
No, I get you.
But I'll roll through after my show.
That'd be nice. Yes.
Catch the headline.
Right. Hey, one more thing. Big ups to you guys too for what you guys do for the scene and the things you guys put together. Junior, you're a foundation in the scene since way back, and you bring a lot of things to people. You don't just talk the music, you teach the music. And I want to say big ups to you on that. A lot of things like, when we were young, you were doing this when we were young, and now it's a whole different thing of people,
I was going to say a really great memory of mine, Junior, was when you were at the Whiskey. I forget who you were like on stage, like introducing, but I felt like I was at church, dude. You got up there, you're like, I asked myself, who will carry on this music?
I remember.
It was great, man. You going back and forth. Dude, you got it, bro.
I love when Junior's on stage. He brings life to it. He brings it like it's supposed to be. Honestly, it's a blessing to see that happen. And the things you do behind the scenes as well, Eric, your managements and stuff that you've done in the past. You're not just a little walk in the park. You've done your stuff, man. I'm being real, honestly.
Didn't you do Reggae Nucleus?
Yes. Reggae.
Oh, yeah, with Russell, right?
Dude, classic right there. That was one of the zines that I still have in my safe.
Right. And look, and Eric, what you managed a Marley?
I co-managed Kimani Marley.
Yeah, Marley. Yeah,
and then work with that and the Lions. Yeah. I'm very.
Yeah, it's a blessing. The things that you guys have done and where you're at, and the things you guys are doing now, bringing back to these people, and there's a whole new people these days. These younger kids and stuff. The new whole thing. And you guys are bringing it, and it's big ups and a lot of respect to you guys.
It takes a village, as they say, right? So, yes,
they do.
We encourage everyone out there to please do your part, celebrate and preserve the scene. And I want to leave you with, please come out, put on your dancing shoes, and enjoy yourself. And much love and be well, everyone. Rich, David, Junior.
Yeah, see you guys on the 14th.
Indeed. Take care, everyone.
All right.
All right. You guys.
Bye-bye now.
See you later.
Bye.